Hey guys, it's Tony with Backwoods Biker Magazine and Wood Tramp Outdoors. Throughout the year, every year that we have been publishing the magazine, we have so many questions that come in asking us about tactical gear, whether it be a pack, a poncho, clothing, weapons, especially blades. We get a lot of questions as to what we think is the best tactical blade out there, best tactical builder. I'm going to cover that a little bit for you here, so hang tight, be right back. Guys, I've got knives in front of me right here, as you can see right now, and there are four different builders that are represented here. Four, that's a one, two, three, four, yeah, four different builders, and there's seven different knives. And this is how I want to start this off. You know, when you ask me what is the best tactical blade out there, well, you know, that's asking me what is the, best pair of tennis shoes. It's, like, where are you going to be using them at? Where is this knife going to go? It's just like any other piece of equipment. You have to ask yourself geographically, where is it going to be at? Where are you going to be using it? How will you use that particular blade? And that is going to determine a lot, into what steel you want in your blade, the maintenance for that blade, the resiliency of it, the ruggedness of it, what, can it do? Can it have a good edge retention? Just a lot of questions before you go, oh yeah, that's the one I want, or a particular name brand. You shouldn't shop that way. You got to ask yourself, where am I going to use it? How am I going to use it? All those pertinent questions before you reach to buy something. So with that being said, there are a multitude of builders that we love and we respect. Just back in 2022, we reviewed 32 different knives. And out of those 32, probably a third of them in their introduction to us, because in order to submit gear to us, we asked for some communication, some photos. And a lot of times what we got from about a third of those people last year was that they also make tactical knives. The also part, is what throws me when you're talking about tactical, because the majority of those people that had that in their description of themselves and their company were really more along the lines of the bushcraft, outdoors, hunters, fishermen. Those are the demographic that they cover. And it's not to say they don't make good knives, because there are some great knife builders out there that do make those style of knives that I just wouldn't say I'll use that knife in a tactical situation, or I would recommend that knife. Some great builders out there, and I'll give you a couple examples. Off the top of my head, Silver Stag Knives, out west, I believe they're in Oregon, make some of the best skinning knives, hunting knives that I have ever seen. They're beautiful, and they're very practical. And I know that at least one of them, the Silver Stag Pack 1, I think it was the name of it. Or no, it wasn't the Pack 1. That's another knife. Anyway, Silver Stag makes great knives, but they don't make quote unquote tactical knives. That's not their niche. Another guy out there, he's a small guy. His name's Todd Hunt, TM Hunt Custom Knives. He makes some great, beautiful knives, very practical knives, and he's got it down to a science. He's known mostly for his M18 that was seen on Naked and Afraid, and I'm not sure, but I think Todd was also on a couple shows for his blades. But again, he's not a quote-unquote tactical builder. I don't think he has a tactical background, and that's kind of where I'm getting at with this. That I want a guy that's going to design the knife, and if he's a builder, if he's done all of his homework and he's got a tactical background. Now that guy can add something to his design and to his concept that a normal citizen may not. Even the best bushcrafter in the world, best outdoorsman in the world, that doesn't have a tactical background. So, you know, the great knife builders out there, but if you're talking about tactical knives, then you want somebody that has some experience in that arena, because they will know what it takes to be able to use that knife in that situation. So with that being said, I got 7 knives out in front of me today. I'm going to do a quick cursory here. This is what this is, and then I'm going to have the camera pulled in so you can get a close-up shot of these knives, all right? The first one is from Daniel Winkler. This happens to be his field knife, and you know, this is a beautiful knife. Daniel is known for his tactical line of knives and weapons that he makes. He's very popular amongst operators, different government agencies, you know, former and current military turn to Daniel for his tactical knives. This particular one has walnut scales on it, and that was at our request because we wanted to put him in with some bushcrafting knives. And if I were to use this as a tactical knife, I would send it back in and say, put me those micarta scales on there, because this particular knife with micarta scales is a bad to the bone tactical knife. So that's a Winkler field knife. And then, I better turn that around so I don't stab myself. SE knives, although they do not tout themselves to be tactical knife builders, they've got guys on their staff that knows what it takes to survive in a tactical situation. Survival knives, Randall's Outdoor School, Survival School, you know, they know what's going on. And when they sent this to me, and we discussed this around the round table for hours, you know, could this serve as a good tactical knife? It didn't take but a minute to come to that conclusion, yes. So the SE6 that we see here, SE is a good company. They stand by their knives with a lifetime guarantee, you know, and it's hard to find that anymore, you know, but this is a great knife and it performed very, very well. Then my next company here is from Ultimate Survival Tips. Now, he's a perfect example of what I was talking about. He has changed the paradigm somewhat on who should be building tactical knives or whatever. He's a great thinker. He's a smart guy, and you know, we you know, affectionately call him MacGyver because he comes up with stuff all the time. If you go to his website, Ultimate Survival Tips, you'll see all the mini stuff that he carries. You know, mini kits of this and that and the other. He's got the mini survival guide. So I have to tell you this here because I know y'all have heard me say this before, but if you depend on a mini survival kit to survive, your chance of survival is very mini. You've got a mini chance of survival. But the kits that he puts inside of his knives, into the behind the scales of his knives, into the cavity of these knives, are the best mini survival kits that I've ever seen. Now, he's done his homework, and he's done a great job with both of these knives. This is the MSK1 Elite Warrior. In 2021, it was the knife of the year, and there was a reason for it. When he first started out, his first version, and this is the 4th version, by the way, 4th generation of that knife. It was made out of D2 steel. And a lot of people didn't like the D2 for several different reasons. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to talk about that today. But we found it to be a very, very stout knife that could carry the mail. And for that reason, that knife did get nominated as Knife of the Year, but it didn't quite make it. And then this one showed up, and because of his improvements, he's got 154 cm steel now he uses all the same features. But this one has 3 edges versus the 1 edge on the original knife. The serrations are true serrations. It's a true saw on the top. Love it. Then in 2022, at the end of the year, he sent us this knife. And this is the PAC-1 Elite. And to me, you know, this is very much like the modern knives that operators are having custom built for them. And again, you look on Daniel Winkler's website, you see a lot of knives that are in this genre right here, and there's a reason for it. It's not overly big, it's not overly small, it's not real heavy. It's very resilient steel. This also is 154 cm, and that's one of the things that operators are concerned about a lot of times is, you know, the effects of water, especially salt water, what it's going to do. It's not that you can't use them, but other steels, but you're going to have to maintain them more. That's all there is to it. And if you've got any age on you at all, you know, we know it's going to take some maintenance. That's just the way it is, especially you guys that were carrying around the K-bar. You know, you had to maintain that knife or it was going to get funky on you, get nasty, rusty, and pitted and all that. But yeah, this was a great knife here. It was nominated as Knife of the Year in 22, but it didn't quite make it by 1/10 of a point. 1/10 of a point, it got second place. But I do like these for tactical knives. And then the fourth guy rather, is someone that was introduced to us through a recommendation, and Mike at Grayman Knives. You know, I've gotten to know him a little bit. I've never been out to his shop, never even talked to him on the phone. I don't even know if the cat's got a cell phone. I mean, his company, Grayman, that's not his last name. That's the concept. That's the idea. Be the gray man. Seen but not seen, heard but not heard. You know, one of the things that we used to talk about, recon rangers, they snooped and they pooped without being caught. That's kind of like what Mike was, okay? Mike was an operator for many years in the Sudan and maybe other parts of the world. And the first knife that we received from him was this guy right here. This is the MP Bowie. Wow, this is truly a tactical knife, and it is made to do the deed. And it will get it done. It's a little bit heavier of a knife. It's made out of a full 1/4 inch piece of 1095 steel, full tang, exposed pummel. Fits well in the hand. It will chop, it will cut, it will bang, it will do whatever you want it to do. We've not broken this knife or have any inclusions in it, and I've chopped a lot of stuff with this knife. The way it feels in the hand, you know, this is a great knife. And then the second one he sent us, I don't even have it in my possession anymore. It was a big knife. It was called the Darfur Defender, and Rocky has that one. But Rocky is 6'3", weighs about 255 pounds. He's a big man. And when he carries that knife, you know, it looks like it fits his body. When I tried to carry the knife, it was as long as my leg almost. And even when I put it up on my pack, it was still too big. It went from about my shoulder, about down to mid where my stomach is at, right? That's just way too big for me. That's not comfortable. But it was a great knife, and it was nominated for Knife of the Year, but just didn't make it. And then in 2022, you know, Mike sent us 2 more knives. And the first one was the little Tsunami right here. When I say little, compared to everything else he sent it, this was a little knife. And I fell in love with it because of the simple fact that it is a little diminutive, but it's heavy. It too is made out of 1/4 inch steel, full tang. It doesn't have an exposed tang, but this makes a great secondary knife. You know, if I carry my main EDC on my strap of my pack, this can go on my side without any problem at all. And I love it. And one thing that you will find out about him is that all of his knives now are made with a single chisel grind. And again, that's from an operator's standpoint. He spent so much time as an operator out in the bush. He knows what it takes, and he knows what it takes to maintain a knife. This is a very simple edge to maintain with a stone, with exposed ceramic. Anything can bring this back to shave sharp in a very short period of time. The scales he uses are all G10, and they are shaped in such a way and profiled in such a way that even with bloody hands, with sinew, fats, or whatever, It's not going to lose its integrity in your hand at all, and it doesn't cause a lot of fatigue. Then the fourth knife that he sent us last year, this was nominated as Knife of the Year, is the West Nile Warrior. And again, this is a bigger knife, and it has some heft on it. And when you look at it, you think, oh man, that thing is really going to wear you out. But the design of it, the forward weight of it, it takes that weight and the distribution of it. I mean, it's not going to be a balanced knife. You can see it just wants to fall forward. But that is really a dynamic knife, man. I mean, it is everything that you would need out in the field of operation. All right, so let me pull back, and we're going to get the camera up here so you can see these knives up close and personal. All right, guys, the first one is the Winkler field knife, and as you can see, beautiful walnut scales, and the shape of the knife is great for the hand. I mean, again, this would be a great tactical knife if the scales were changed to the micarta, and that is an option. You know, again, that wasn't his choice to send us this. This is what we requested, and we're very happy with the knife. You know, so much so it's, you know, stays in the vault here. But if I had it remade again, it would be with the micarta scales. And I don't know if I'm going to send it back and ask him to change it for me or not. I mean, this is a dope looking knife, and it performs well out in the field. It does good. But Daniel Winkler is one of those guys that I would say, you know, if you're looking for a tactical builder, put Daniel on your list and go out to his website and check it out. The second one that I talked to you about was the SE6, and again, you know, you see these G10 scales. These are sculpted. They call them 3D sculpted scales. You know, and when we got this, I'll tell you this: these types of scales, you have to be careful with them. And I take sandpaper to these, and I smooth them down. I don't take the profile off because these are sculpted this way and grooved this way for a reason. It gives you grip. You know, if your hands get bloody, you know, I know some of you don't like to use the B word, but that's just it. You know, if you got a tactical knife, what do you got it for? Cutting apples? Well, you're not going to survive very long if that's all you ever do. But this is a great knife, especially being 6 inches. You know, the longer the knife is, the more susceptible it is to breakage. Well, not this guy. I mean, I pounded the crap out of this. Rocky did too. Danny did. Everybody that took this knife out was impressed with it, you know, and we've kept it around for a reason. Now, what I did, though, I mean, you see this got this green coating on here. I went ahead and filed this back of it off and made it a 90-degree spine so I could use it with a ferro rod if necessary. But again, you know, SE Knives is a great company. They stand behind their product, you know, a lifetime warranty. You know, so that's them. And then this is the Ultimate Survival Tips MSK1 Elite Warrior. 154 cm steel. You can see that nice serration up there that really, it does the job. It will cut bone. I've done this. I've cut bone with it. And for those of you that are wondering, no, not human bone. It's got a secondary edge here and then a third, or the main edge along the bottom. Look at the finger chole on there, man. I mean, I got huge fingers. My hands are just really, well, they look ugly on that camera, don't they? But you can see how that fits my hand, my finger, that big finger I got right there. And I mean, what you got to be careful of, you see what I just did, is that you're not going to use that knife with your thumb up on that serration, or you'll end up slicing your thumb. But what has always impressed me when I look at his knives, there's so many features, and that was one of the things I tried to get everybody to understand on the price of this knife. You know, when you're talking about here's a feature, here's a feature, here's a feature, this is a feature, those two things are features. The grooves in the micarta scales is a feature. The ferro rod striker is a feature. Lanyard hole is a feature. The exposed pummel is a feature. On the inside is the survival kit. All those are features. Jimping here, here, and down here on the bottom. All those are features that when you're talking about a quality knife being made in the United States, every time a feature is put on a knife, the price of the knife is going to come up. But
This is one of those knives that doesn't have hokey features. Every one of those have a purpose, and for that reason, this knife was named Knife of the Year back in 2021. Great option, and there's different configurations for this knife as well. And I should mention, I'm not talking about any sheaths, but this is the tactical sheath that this knife comes with. Now, the Mini does not come with it. This is the MSK1 Mini, and the reason that I even carry it with me like this is because the MSK1 Elite Warrior is really too big to do real fine tasks. That's why you get this here. And of course it comes with a ferro rod holder on it. I've always loved this knife, and this is a knife that I would consider using in a tactical situation. And then in 2022, at the end of the year, he sent us this new knife that he came up with. And this is based on, his design is based on 3 different knives. Number 1 was the MSK1, you can see that in here, and the Scandinavian Puukko, and then the Samurai Keikan knife. All 3 of them are evident in this particular knife. And what I personally like about this is that it reminds me a lot of the K-bars that I've used. It's smaller, but it reminds me of it, the way it performs and the way it feels in my hand, except, the K-bar has the stacked leather washers all throughout here. This is my Carta that has been sculpted to fit your hand perfectly. And when I use this knife did not slow me down, did not stop me. And again, I would carry this knife in a sheath where I could carry the Mini with me on that sheath as well. But Ultimate Survival Tips, although he's not a knife company per se, you got to admit what he's done is pretty brilliant. I mean, he's smart enough that he went out to Tops Knives and collaborated with them and said, hey, I want you to make this knife for me. So you're getting a reputable company, just a superb design. Everything about this knife, the construction of it, it looks sexy. But most important, this is a knife that you could carry and be confident in a tactical situation. All right, so then we're going to talk about the Grayman. All right, again, I don't have the Dafar Defender, but I don't really need it here. I just wanted to kind of show you these knives up and close so you can kind of get a feel, as to exactly what you're getting here when you're getting a Grayman knife. All these are 1095 steel. All of them have the single bevel grind on them. This has got a finger choil here. If I had my druthers on this knife, the finger choil here would be a little bit bigger because of the size of my fingers. Every time I've used this knife, I've had to be a little bit careful with it. Nowadays, he uses what is called a Duracoat finish, which is a bake-on finish. And when you first get them, they are going to be super, super shiny. This one in this camera looks like it's shiny, but when compared to this guy, you can see it's not as shiny. And the reason is because I took a maroon Scotch-Brite and I knocked down the glare of this finish. All I did is put micro scratches in it that knocks down the glare. It doesn't allow the reflection as much. Tactical knives, you don't want them shining in the middle of the night off the moon, revealing your position. But again, I love this little guy. And then, of course, this was our introduction here. I mean, this is a bad mofo, buddy. I mean, it's made. I had so many people ask me, well, why does he use that that upsweep there in a single bevel? Well, if you've ever been in a close combat situation, where you're behind your opponent, that will help them to understand that their life is short-lived with that up against the back or the front of their neck from behind. And again, that's what these knives are for. These are not for the faint of heart. I mean, I think one of the ads that we built for him is that, we said Grayman knives, but only if you're serious. And that's the truth. If you're looking for a serious tactical knife, Grayman knives, makes them, man. I mean, it's what he does. And then, of course, and this was nominated as Knife of the Year in 2022. And I don't know where it sat. I think third place is what it got, you know. But, you know, again, when you look at this knife, you can tell this man has been there. He knows what it takes to be able to survive in an AO, in a snoop and poop situation, you know. To me, you know, I like this MP boy. I really do. I mean, I'm impressed with this guy. But this is the guy that if I had to take a knife out with me, this is one of those that would go with me into an AO. You know, because I know I could build. I chopped down 3-inch saplings with this. You know, if you're building man traps, you're not going to, you know, really do anything that's that big. Maybe smaller, but definitely 2-inch. It'll goes right through it. And, you know, it will, believe it or not, I made feather sticks with this. I mean, it was a chore because of the way it's handling. But, you know, when you're talking about a tactical knife, you're not always talking about making feather sticks, friend, to be honest with you. You know, so Mike from Grayman has impressed us so much when it comes down to it. And again, I mentioned this before. We don't endorse a lot of companies. We don't endorse a lot of products. But as far as tactical knives, we endorse Mike from Grayman Knives and encourage you, if you're looking for a tactical knife, take a look at all of these, but especially Mike from Grayman. He's been out there. He knows what it takes, and that's why his knives look like they do and perform like they do, you know. So we'll put up his website there too. So I hope that this has helped everybody, and we're going to pull back out here in just a second here, so hang tight. All right, guys. So, you know, that's it for those companies. You know, you're asking about different tactical knives. These are the guys that I would recommend. Not that other companies don't make great knives, you know, but I think that, you know, when we're talking about having a tactical knife built for you, you want a guy or a gal that has been in the mix, that they know exactly what's happening. And then you got a company, you know, like Winkler Knives. Man, he's gotten so much help, and his staff is top notch. You know, got tactical people that are in his ear all the time. The people that design his knives have tactical backgrounds, you know, and he's made some knives for some well, let's put it this way, you know, some of our SEAL teams are packing a Daniel Winkler knife. So he makes knives for a lot of different government agencies in our military as well. You know, the MSK1 knife, you know, is a great knife also, you know, but we have really enjoyed those. So I'm sheathing these up so I don't cut myself. I'll say this, Grayman no longer makes these ballistic nylon sheaths. You know, these are nice sheaths. I like these. He's went strictly to Kydex. But do you buy a knife because of the sheath? No, not at all. So these are knives that I would put a different sheath on because, you know, they can fall out. You know, he's a knife maker, not a sheath maker. You know, so well, man, oh man, I hope that that's helped you out. I appreciate all those questions, and you know, let me know what you think about these knives, and let me know if you reach out to any of these guys. And if you do, let them know that you saw it on Beckham's Biker, and tell them Tony said hello. So until next time, you guys ride free, you live free, and always you be safe out.